Hey everybody, this is Matthew with Forging Your Legend, where we help people turn their toughest battles into their greatest legends. Today, I want to talk to you about why you may feel like you can't slow down. You're constantly going, constantly doing, constantly activated. And also, what you can do about that. But before we get into that, if you would do me a small favor and just hit the subscribe button if you haven't subscribed already, and give this video a like, leave a comment, share it with somebody who might find it helpful, and so on. So, why do people have trouble slowing down? I'm going to talk about two particular scenarios that are relevant. The first is just the average person who is going too hard, too fast, and they're just in a chronic stress response. This is the person who simply needs regulation work. They need limbic retraining. There's a few ways to look at it. You could say they're in fight or flight. They're in a sympathetic activation in their nervous system. They're ready to fight the problem or run away from it, whether they're conscious of that or not. And they're running on adrenaline. And this is not sustainable in the long run, as you can probably imagine. Eventually, this will lead to disease. You are meant to be in that kind of a state briefly, just to deal with threats. But in our modern world, it seems like we're under stress all the time. So we have to learn to deactivate that stress response, to teach our limbic brain, which is looking for threats, that we are actually safe, that these are not threats it needs to respond to, that we're okay, we can be relaxed even as we are very engaged in a busy life. Now, there are a few reasons why somebody might be like this. It might be, they've just got a ton of demands placed on them and they're just trying to do the very best that they can. It might be that, they're actually exhausted and they need to kick up their adrenaline to get through. It might be that they're running away from something emotionally or socially or something. There's a lot of reasons it can happen, but ultimately, if you don't slow down, your body will eventually do it for you. You'll get sick or something will happen and you'll be forced to slow down. So slow down while you have the option. We'll get into how to do that shortly. Now, the other scenario where I see people struggling to slow down is actually, it has some overlap with the first one, but it's a little bit more positive in the sense that it often comes from doing a lot of great work. So I've sometimes seen people who've really gone through a hard time, who were very shut down. Their nervous system went into kind of the equivalent of the armadillo playing dead shutdown response, because that's all their nervous system could do. That's all it could do to keep them alive. And coming out of that shutdown from a ton of work, a ton of practice, a ton of calming and regulating and reconnecting with themselves, eventually gets them to the point where they're actually coming out of that. They're activating again. And sometimes you have to go from shutdown through activation into regulation. And sometimes you just have done all this work for a year, 2 years, 3 years, and you're just ready to live your darn life already. And I see this with clients. This is actually what made me make this video. I have a client who is telling me that she has a hard time sitting still right now. And based on everything she's telling me, she's not just getting herself more dysregulated. With certain people, that might be the case. But with her, I know she's more regulated. She's just at a point where her soul, her brain, her nervous system is just ready to go out and live her darn life. And so I say, you know what? That's okay. Sometimes that's going to happen. Sometimes that's a part of the process. And it's a sign that you're doing something right. Knowing the difference between just pure dysregulation and going back into that old pathway versus coming out, emerging, you have to look at the context to see the difference, but there is a difference. So let's look at what to do with these situations. For both situations, I definitely recommend a regulatory practice of some kind. Rounds, somatics, deep breathing, spending time in nature, connecting to the natural rhythms of the natural world instead of the fake rhythms of the human and technological world. And, connecting with other people, that kind of thing. Finding ways to discharge energy in healthy ways, like, maybe some healthy shaking, like gentle, just shaking out your limbs or something. I won't do it since I'm holding the phone here, but, or maybe if you can handle it, some light exercise, going for walks, going swimming. If you can handle more than that, great. Or even just visualizing discharging this energy, because there's often a lot of extra charge built up in the nervous system that just needs to be let out. There's even breathing practices that can help with that. But ultimately, the first type of person really needs to prioritize slowing down above all else, to confront whatever things are going on, whether it's just a nervous system habit or whether it's a deep belief that says, I can't stop or something bad's going to happen. You have to slow down. You have to carve out times, however you need to do that. If you need to schedule it, if you need to have somebody help you do it, slow down, do less. That's a requirement. Like I said, eventually your body will slow you down by force if you don't slow yourself down. It doesn't mean that you have to completely change your whole personality. Even just a 10 or 20% slowing can make a big difference. And that can mean doing the things that you're doing normally but more slowly. And it can also mean giving yourself more space in your schedule. Both are important. Do what you can. Do the best you can. Doesn't have to be perfect. Now, for people in the other situation who've actually done the regulatory work and are finding that they're coming through a deep period of just emerging and feeling kind of activated and almost overactivated as they do it, for them as well, keep doing your regulatory practices, but don't worry if you feel like you just can't totally slow down. I would use it to some degree. Find a balance. Don't overdo it. I'm not saying don't overdo it out of fear, just out of a sense of keeping balance, but do give yourself an opportunity to use that energy. Let yourself get excited about life again. Let yourself get back to doing things, because you're making up for lost time in many cases. You don't have to get back into rushing, but go follow that impulse to a certain degree. It might be some really amazing energy to help you get unstuck in places you didn't have the energy to unstick before. So, with that being said, you can kind of take an accounting of which one it feels like it is for you. You'll probably know just based on intuition and common sense and listening to what I've said here. But with that being said, I hope you found this video helpful, and listen to some other videos that I've put out and see what else you can find that might be helpful for you. And whatever you do, just know that this is a journey. It's not all going to happen overnight. And the best way to approach this is just to keep working at it consistently, lovingly, and just show up every day and do your best, and then show up again tomorrow. God bless you. Take care of yourselves. I'm with you. I believe in you. You got this. Take care.